everybody. I'm Marlene Williams, and I am so excited to have the joy of introducing you to 8 of the 9 gift away authors. And right now, we have with us the beautiful and the very festive Sarah, who is going to tell us a little bit about her book and herself. And we're going to dive right in. Hi, Sarah, and welcome to the gift away moment here. Meet the author moment.
Hi, Marlene. Yes, I am Sarah Soon. That's my pen name, and it's actually my first and middle name, so it's very easy. And my book is Christmas at Sonshine Barn, and this is actually a picture from my childhood home.
Oh,
And my parents
beautiful.
converted it into an upscale wedding venue. And my character goes there and with his family spends Christmas there at the farmhouse. They actually rent out the farmhouse for, Christmas and different holidays.
Nice. And this is a romance, a fiction. What's your genre?
I call it women's fiction because it focuses on the character's transformation and there is an element of love. And the whole series, this is book one of the male love series. So the whole series is about two protagonists that get together.
Well, you've got to love that. That is just perfect for the season. And so you've told us a little bit about your book. Who is the ideal reader for this book, do you think?
I would say a woman 30 and older, especially if you've been single for a while.
Mm.
And my character, he's, compared to me, he's very young, but he's in his 30 and he's still single. And there's so many people that, nowadays people get married later, but even then you have a lot of people that get married out of high school, especially after college. And
Mhm.
he wanted to be married, but he's not, in the pain of not being married when you have that expectation. I want that reader because I got married later in life. And so I noticed that my characters don't get married till after their 30s. And that's kind of the reader to say, hey, it's okay if you haven't found love, in your 20s. You have, years to go ahead and find the person. Because one thing I said when I was single, I would rather be happily single than unhappily married.
Amen to that. And I'm sure that we're getting a chorus of amens across the internet right now. People saying, thank you. Thank you for validating my choice on that because a
Exactly.
lot of romance novels are kids in their late teens, early 20s. And as a reader, if you're reading that and you're in your 30s and you're still single, you're like, I can't identify with this. So that's beautiful that you've given some options. And it's just one of the 9 many beautiful stories in our little collection, our giveaway. We'll tell you more about the giveaway in a minute, but right now I want to back up a little bit and talk about you as an author and as a reader yourself. This is going to be a gift series, right? We're giving these away, but what was the best book that you ever got as a gift?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I would say a keyword study Bible. And I really enjoy this Bible because it has hundreds of Greek, maybe even thousands of Greek and Hebrew words that are defined
Wow.
in the back. So you can go
Cool.
back to the original context and kind of understand it even more because, we're reading something that was written in ancient times with a whole different culture. So it's great to say, okay, this is their mindset and understand
Hmm.
it. It really opens up the Bible when you can cast it in that ancient time and ancient culture and ancient mindset. So that's something that's been an awesome gift that I really enjoy.
That's very cool. And as we've mentioned before, all the books that will be mentioned in these interviews will be linked down below so that, or at least listed. I don't know if we can link them all. Some of them may be out of print. But we're gathering quite an interesting list, Sarah, of people's favorite books that we thought we're not going to let this go to waste. We're going to put this in a nice little list somewhere and put it out there for our friends. Speaking of cracking the code on things, who taught you to read? And what was the first book that you remember reading?
Yeah. Well, I came over from the South Korea when I was 5, and I had
Mm.
to learn English within months because I got here around January and had to go to school in September. So my mom
Wow.
My mom, which, my adopted mom, obviously, and she would have us watch a lot of Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Electric Company. So my first English word was Spider-Man because of Electric Company.
That's great. I don't think I've ever heard that before, so
So
that's pretty impressive.
we went to the grocery store and I saw Spider-Man vitamins and I pointed them out and said Spider-Man.
Oh, that is so cute. Do you still eat the Spider-Man vitamins or have you moved on?
I think I have graduated from
Okay, that's cool. And as far as the first book that you remember reading, what was that?
those Jane and Dick and Jane
Dick
books.
and Jane books. Yes, you're
Because,
not.
especially when you don't know hardly any English, my mom just probably gave them to me and I just had to read them or learn to read them. And
Yeah.
she took us to the library all the time. So, once I learned to read, I was a voracious reader.
Yeah. So speaking of which, do you have a favorite book, one that you go back to over and over again?
Yeah, of course, outside of the Bible, definitely Pride and Prejudice. I can
Oh.
read that so many times and get something new.
Mm,
And who doesn't love Jane Austen's humor and her human insight? It's just amazing how she understands the human psyche and she can break it down like you feel like you're in that person's head and you know
yeah.
exactly why they're doing what they do. And she is so gifted. It's almost like she was a psychologist because
It's you get that feeling that she was so observant, right? And just so perceptive about these things. So, what book are you reading right now? What's on your nightstand?
Mansfield Park
Oh,
by Jane
a true
Austen.
Austenite here.
Yeah, well, I'm reading that to get some tropes and inspiration for book 3 of the Mayo Love series.
And could you spell that series? It's mail like drop it in the mail or
Mayo,
mail like a guy?
Mayo,
Oh,
M-A,
Mayo, like the
Mayo.
mayonnaise. Okay.
And the reason why is the Mayo Hotel is an iconic hotel here in Tulsa. And both the protagonists that fall in love, their grandparents actually met and fell in love at the Mayo Hotel. And then my
Oh, that's
protagonist and
beautiful.
the Mayo Hotel embeds into their love story.
Oh, I just love it when there's a location that kind of draws people to it. That's such an interesting idea.
And because I was writing this book, my husband actually proposed at the Mayo rooftop.
Come on.
Yes.
That
We
is
had
great.
favor because my friends scouted out the night before and they couldn't find a manager, and they found out later that to get up to the, not just there's the rooftop, but then there's on top of the rooftop is like this place that you have to rent out and it's like super ridiculously expensive.
Wow.
Well, the night of, my friends went ahead early because they were taking videos and pictures, and they ran into the manager and asked if we could have the proposal, and she took them up there and kept other people from trying to go up
Wow, that is great. You heard it here first, folks. This is a real life love story. So there's a lot of roots in this book. That's very cool. Speaking of locations, where do you write when you're writing your Mayo series? Where are you located?
uh physically in my house.
Physically in your house, yeah.
Yes, I have an office upstairs. This is it. And
Mhm.
it's a reason why I picked it is there's a window and there's
Mm.
a pond that
Oh,
we back up into, and you can see part of it.
oh, that's a lovely view. So you have a vista. Are you someone who can listen to music or while you're writing, or are you the cone of silence kind of person? What's your atmosphere?
Yeah, it depends. Like if I'm in the first draft, I can listen to instrumental. Like when I was writing Christmas Sunshine Barn, I listened to a lot of instrumental Christmas music just to keep myself in the season. And but now there is a little Christmas in my second book, but most of it's in the summer. So I may listen to classical music, but most of the time I just like silence because my brain just needs silence to think clearly.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. And what's in your cup when you're sitting there
Water.
working? What, just straight up water? Oh, she's she's a
Although
well hydrated author here.
in the morning, I do sometimes sip on kombucha because it's a great way to, get the probiotics and it tastes good and it does kind of wake me up. Although
Oh,
usually it only takes me like 5 minutes to wake up and be alert.
That's great. You must be a morning person.
I am very
Yeah.
much.
I forgot to ask you, and I just want to ask you this because I find this so interesting. Do you have a favorite book of all time? I mean, your absolute 100% favorite book?
Um, like I said, I love Pride and Prejudice. I think um, I wouldn't say this was my favorite book, but it was a book by Michael Phillips, and it was the Rose series, Secret of the Rose series. And I mentioned
Oh,
that because there's a Baron van Dortmund, and he was a godly man, and they were in Germany, and they smuggled Jews and hid them. And
wow.
he was such a Christ-like figure. When I was young, he made such an impression on me about how what Christ is like, that it was more impactful than any nonfiction that I read during that time.
No kidding.
So
And that, I think that's such a good point to make, Sarah, because there are Christians out there that struggle sometimes with reading fiction. They're like, I should just
yeah,
read the Bible and that's it, or biographies and that's it, and or nonfiction. And they struggle with that. But what an excellent point to make, because sometimes when people are reading fiction, they're kind of caught off guard by the truths that are
absolutely.
buried in that. And that's a perfect segue to our final question of all of the gift away books convey a certain spiritual truth.
Yes.
What's the one that's front and center in your book?
Uh, all my characters have to come to a point where they're trying to run from their pain, and they have to face their pain in order to heal. And
Oh,
once they heal, they have transformation, they renew their faith and find love. And that's kind of my story. I had a lot of pain surrounded to my identity, um, and different things, and about love. And I didn't want to face the pain of feeling like I wasn't enough. So I would just, when God would try to make me deal with these lies, I would run from it. And then finally, I had one of those moments where I'm like, okay, Lord, I know it's going to be painful. I want to be married one day, and I know I'm standing in the way and I'm hiding from pain. So I had like a night of the soul. I was up all night praying, and all these lies, I made myself hear all these lies that I tried
wow.
to ignore. And it was hard. I mean, it lasted all night. But then in the morning, it was like joy came in the morning. The sun literally came up, but God's son, him, Jesus, just healed my heart. And then I found my husband. He and I, end up meeting within that same year, because I was willing to say, okay, these are lies that I've believed, but this is the truth. And you
Yeah,
really can't, it's hard to have a great relationship when you're believing all these lies about yourself. Then you bring it into the relationship. So
sure.
that's what my characters do. They're running from their pain, but then they finally get to a point where the Lord brings them to that place where it's safe to heal. They want to heal. They want to find the truth about who they really are, and then move on to the next part of their life.
That is so beautiful. Thank you. I know that there's going to be a lot of readers who will resonate with that. So thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Um, we and so Sarah, like we said, is one of 9 authors in this holiday gift away, and one happy prize winner is going to win 9 author autographed signed books, including Sarah's book, and then 9 winners will win 1 ebook. So it's a win-win. And if you can't stand it and you want to start reading Sarah's books now. Sarah, you have a website, I assume?
Yep, Sarah, Sarah, soon, SOON.com.
And you can go there and learn more about the books, or you can stop by Amazon. I'm sure it's available on Amazon and other outlets. And you can enter by clicking on the link below, enter the gift away. And if you buy her book and enter the gift away and win, just look, you'll have an autographed copy and you can give the other one to somebody else. Anyway,
Yep.
thank you for joining us today, Sarah. And I just wish everyone a Merry Christmas and good luck, as we say, in the gift away. Thanks again, Sarah.
Thank you.